Still with us is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Oji, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Abati. We'll take a story from Port Harcourt, River State, where soldiers of the Nigerian army assaulted and detained a journalist for allegedly gathering reports from residents in Oyigbo Community in the wake of the recent crisis in the state. The journalist, Grace Abdu, who works for Voice of America, was arrested over the weekend and detained for several hours by soldiers who also seized her equipment. The journalist said the soldiers were all drunk. While in detention, the soldiers told her that she was lucky to be female and not from the other media houses. Otherwise, they would have killed her and nothing would happen. The soldiers had allegedly accused her of running a live broadcast of her assignment in Oyigbo, as well as transmitting military live operations in the volatile area without permission. And this is what we see, this display of ignorance is what I'll call it, by the soldiers. I mean, how do you get drunk in the first place if her story is true during work? I mean, it's really uncalled for. I don't think that they were told to arrest this lady, as it appears. But the story goes that she was detained for about 6 or 7 hours, and the only way she was released was because there was intervention by the United States Embassy. They wrote a letter and sent to the, to the guards there, and they also from other media houses. They had to intervene before this woman was released. Clearly unreasonable at this point.
I mean, drunkenness on duty says it all, doesn't it? Anything could really have happened to this lady. I'm so glad for her that she was released after a few hours, but she clearly should never have been detained in the first case. The job of the media, we keep saying here, don't we? We keep having to repeat it, is to report to the public the truth, the unvarnished truth of whatever the situation is. So this idea of her doing her job without permission is baffling to me in Nigeria in 2020. I'm just really sad that this ever happened to this lady, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yes.
Because we have seen, and from the statement, the statement that was made to her of, we could kill you and nothing would happen, and that if you were a man, then what would have happened if she was a man? I shudder to imagine what would have happened.
Correct.
It's awful.
Yes, Dr. Batten.
Well, I think the military and the police and other security agencies, they talk all the time about what they call rules of engagement, which is the procedure, their main operational procedure. And I think that in the training of these uniformed personnel who bear arms, they must begin to teach them that it is forbidden for them to tell any citizen that I will shoot you and nothing will happen. Because we're in a lawful country, we are under a constitutional order. Nobody, whether in uniform or out of uniform, has a right to say that I will shoot you and nothing will happen. So that should become part of their training going forward, because the leadership of the military and the other agencies, they are always talking about rules of engagement. But I hope they hear some of these things that their rank and file often say to Nigerian citizens who pay their salaries, because they are maintained with taxpayer salaries, if we may use that expression. Second, the assault on journalists is something that has become routine. Every uniformed person thinks that a journalist is an enemy of the state, whether it is NSAS protests or it's even normal routine work. You are not even allowed in some instances to take photographs. They will say it's against national security. What constitutes national security, nobody exactly knows. It's like it's defined according to the whims and caprice of whoever is holding a rifle at a particular point, and who thinks that that grants the privilege to intimidate citizens, including journalists. Now, Grace Alheri Abdul, those are her full names. She's a senior journalist with a Voice of America Hausa service. And, I don't think she would take it lying low. She probably will still do a report on this. And the implication of this is that it will further, constitute an image issue for the Nigerian government and for Nigeria itself as a country where journalists are abused and oppressed. The third point, of course, is that we've been having issues in Oyigbo since the IPOB was said to have organized some kind of protest which resulted in the killing of a policeman, the razing down of a police station, an assault on a soldier, as was alleged, and then the deployment of a security personnel to Oyigbo. And there were initial reports about how, that particular community was turned into a war zone, with people being arrested indiscriminately, with soldiers going from one house to the other, and claiming that they were looking for the particular person or persons who attacked soldiers who were deployed to that community. And at a point, Amnesty International reported humanitarian crisis, terror on full display by uniformed policemen in Oyigbo. I'm surprised that that has continued up to this moment. We had the governor of Rivers State here on the program, and he said, well, he was not the one that deployed the soldiers and the policemen, but he had the responsibility to ensure that that local government is safe. Whatever it is, I think that the military hierarchy or the police hierarchy should take a keen interest in what is happening in that community so that innocent people do not continue to suffer. If they said they were looking for cultists and IPOB militants, they should have been able to do that up to now. They cannot, become an army of occupation in that local government area, because that is what it's beginning to look at. And journalists in every circumstance must be allowed to do their work.
Yes. Rufai, your take on this story?
I mean, it's quite very sad when you hear things like this, and owing to the fact that if you've been watching the Judicial Panel of Inquiry, we keep hearing the refrain, rules of engagement. I'd like to ask, is drinking too part of the rules of engagement?
I don't understand, Rufai.
Maybe they will have to tell us that. Mm-hmm. He's harassing a journalist, and I'd like to know what those, maybe because they were drunk. No, I don't want to make an excuse for them. I'd like to know what the soldiers, correct me if I'm wrong in this quote, said, or what they mean by saying, if it was the other media, we will have done something to them. I don't know. I don't know what that means, and I'd like to know what that means. Because if that is what I am thinking in my head, that means obviously it's a threat to specific media targets. That's what it means. But I don't want to believe the soldiers will do that. And it's very, very bad. Maybe part of the rules of the engagement of military does not include constitutional analysis of their role. And maybe they should also let them know that the media has a constitutional role in society. It's not only about being the further state of the realm, like Edmund Burke said, but it has a constitutional role in society for the sanctity of the union and democracy.
Section 22.
Section 22.
Of the 1999
So
Constitution.
maybe the military should start teaching soldiers Section 22 of the Constitution, because I doubt if you get a rank and file of the Nigerian Army down here and say Section 22, what does it say about the media? I'm not sure they know it. Because if they know it, it will not get to the extent of the fact that they had to send a letter. And we live in a country where it has to be as a result of an intervention. Do we need an intervention before the army respect the statutory right of a journalist covering a particular action and reporting fairly? Does the American government need to write? So what you are telling me is that if it was an online media, now, maybe Oyigbo media on social media that was there covering the incident in Oyigbo, obviously they will have just, killed the person, but I'm not surprised.
Like Tundu said, it could have been worse.
Is it not the same Lagos task force? We all know how life was snuffed out of that young boy, and his body was taken to Ikorodu, and the story has been forgotten. Nothing has been done to the task force officials. So if we want to build a society, we should be very truthful with ourselves on how to build a society. And this is another indication. If we want to truly build a society that is strong, we should be truthful. And it's very sad. This is the only society where I know that people that pay your salary, your bosses are highly disrespected. We, the people, are the boss here. We pay our taxes. We do what is right.
Right.
Despite the fact that we are not getting enough to be able to pay our taxes, we still snuff it out and pay our taxes. And we are being treated this way. So I think part of the rules of engagement should be civic studies for the military. To know that we medias don't just come and open our big basket mouth like some people claim that want to teach us our job every day. That we media operate based on Section 22 of the National Constitution.
Good point, Rufai. Well, let's hope that she writes a report, and I'm looking forward to that detailed report on what happened on her case. We'll take another story, this time in the United States. President-elect Joe Biden, in preparation as the 46th American president on Sunday, named an all-female senior White House press staff, a first in the country's history. The announcement, which was made in a statement by the Biden Transition website, reflects on Biden's continued commitment to building an administration that looks like America and is ready to deliver results for working families. Well, so far, Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris have sought to inject diversity in their appointments and nominations ahead of their January 20 swearing-in. This week, they are expected to roll out a diverse group to lead the new administration's economic team, and a Nigerian-born attorney, Adewale Wali, was nominated as the Deputy Secretary of the Treasury. Well, congratulations to our Nigerian-born Adewale. They call him Wali Adeyemo. Really excited for this one particular story because, you know, obviously he's Nigerian-born and he's hopefully going to be elected. And I'm so proud of the whole new administration selecting this diverse group and all female, you know, communication staff is really looking interesting. And I hope that this whole new inclusive America would, you know, change everything that the Trump administration had done.
Yes, Biden did say that he would have his cabinet reflect the country.
Yes.
So this is a very diverse team he's putting together. But in the name of diversity and inclusivity, they can't pronounce Wale. I have no idea what Wally is and why he left them calling Wally. I have no idea. Maybe, but a Wally is a different thing in England than in America. In England, it's an insult. But they can pronounce Wale. Surely they should be able to. He should insist on that.
Well, isn't that what he wants to identify himself?
No, what happens?
Wally.
You know, when you go to school in England, they try and tell you how we can't pronounce your name. Give us something easier, and you must put your foot down.
But it happened to me.
It happened to me.
Model. Yeah, it happened to me.
You put your foot down. Why? That's why you had to do OG.
Well, my parents called me OG, but they couldn't pronounce Ojinika.
They will learn.
And
they can pronounce Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, it happened to me, yes.
They will learn. Now, I was told, we're going to call you Ola. No, you will not. My name is Tundu. It's 2 syllables. I mean, let's not be lazy. Now, but the lady that I'm really excited by, I hate to say because she's black, is the Saunders lady. She's only 30. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing to be at this level at the age of 30. There are 4 women of color and 2 are black women. The other lady, Jean-Pierre, she's 43. But the lady who's only 30, it's phenomenal. I'm very proud of them.
And Simon Sanders, that's what the person you are referring to. She's going to be the chief spokesperson to the Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. And Jennifer Saki will be spokesperson for the president. And, you know, the rest of the team, they are all ladies, and they are all alumni of either the Obama team or the Biden campaign. And so these are tested persons who have had a lot of experience. In fact, Jennifer Saki, was Director of Communications in the Obama administration. So they come with a lot of experience.
So
however,
Wally.
Some controversy.
Call him Wally.
Some controversy. Some controversy has been generated around this because Kelly McEnany was all over social media and the papers protesting that Washington Post, which originally reported the story, is being partisan because also President Trump had an all-female team. Yes. And that nobody has mentioned that. Hope Hicks, you know, Sarah Sanders, Alisa, who is the current Director of Communications, and then, of course, Sarah Sanders and McEnany herself.
But Washington Post and Trump.
Dr. Abati, that is the controversy. Let's take a quick break. We'll take a quick break before we come back for your comment.
Back to the morning show here on Arise News. Still with us is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Well, before we took that break, OJ, I was commenting on the objection from the Trump communications team about the description of Joe Biden's communications team as historic, you know, as if it's something that is just happening. And I think Kelly McEnany has done a good job of putting that on record and all those names that I have listed. The only difference, well, that may well happen, maybe there wouldn't be as much turnover as we had in President Trump's communications team. But as I said, these persons, 7 ladies, they represent the rainbow identity of the United States, which President-elect Biden says he will reflect in his choice of cabinet. And he has done that also with his choice of a woman as a woman for the first time.
Yes.
As Director of National Intelligence and a Latino as, he speaks for Homeland Security. But the job of the communications team is not an easy job. They will be relating between government and the media. And
all
there's
right.
a lot to do.
I think we lost your audio, Dr. Abati. Let's throw to Rufai for a quick comment.
Right. I'm really excited that this has happened. Leave Kenny McInerney alone. I mean, I'm tired of all their shenanigans and Trump administration. If the world is saying this is historic, it's because even if there were women in Trump administration, they all look like hard-nosed men.
Ow!
Yes,
Rufai.
because in all of their approach. So leave them alone. Is it not that same one that had COVID that hid it from people that endangered a lot of lives? They were spreading COVID everywhere from the White House.
Good heavens,
leave
Rufai.
those ones alone. Simon Sanders, beautiful brain, beautiful woman. At first, she worked on Bernie Sanders' campaign in 2016.
She was the youngest press secretary to work with the presidential
and
candidate.
afterwards,
She's amazing.
she became a key political strategist on CNN.
She's
Great job,
amazing.
insightful
She's
woman.
amazing.
I watch her every time on MSNBC. Great thinker. I'm very happy that the cabinet is all put together. Great one for Janet Yellen. That shows the dexterity of America, how a rainbow nation is it. I mean, one of the most successful Secretary of States ever. Originally wasn't even American, Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger came in, after the war, after the Second World War. And you can see what Henry Kissinger did for America. In fact, he's the only Secretary of State I can remember that won a Nobel Prize for peace.
Madeleine Albright was an American-born.
Wasn't American too, Madeleine Albright. So you can see how that inclusion works. Wale, I'm really excellent. I'm happy about Wale. I'm over the moon. But it's not the first time. Let's not forget Ogunlesi. Ogunlesi, the man that took over Gatwick with his company, I forget the name of his international consortium now, was also appointed as part of that, think tank economic team in Trump's administration that had the likes of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Before Trump finally disbanded that team. So it's not today Nigerians have been serving in the cabinet. And I'm really very happy about that because that shows, the strength and dexterity of the country and how the country is evolving. And I hope we can learn one or two very vital things from it. So this Biden administration is set to do great things. Janet Yellen is in there. You've got a great cabinet. Tundu, like you are watching, I'm still watching for that education cabinet to be able to see, who is going to get in there.
Not somebody who bought it, hopefully.
Yeah.
But for me, the other part is I want Biden to balance this out. Because there's another big faction, the socialist angle of the Democratic Party, the likes of Elizabeth Warren. I know you want to be conservative and progressive, but don't forget that socialist angle too is beginning to build its own buzz. You have the likes of Alicia Cortez in that angle too. She's sort of that socialist thing, and she's a young person. She's about 30, 32. She's in the House of Reps. She's in the House of Congress in America, and these are the frontline people for the Democratic Party. She supported Bernie Sanders, so you can't leave that out. So to be able to balance things out too, bring those people in to the fold so that we have a bigger, a better fold. But don't mind McInerney. Trump, they will always talk.
Well, no, I'll mind
that. But it's a lie. There are men in the team.
No, the point we're making.
There are men in the team, it's a lie.
The point we're making is about women in leadership roles.
Yes, number one.
McInerney's argument is that, look, President Trump also appointed quite a number of women,
all women
into important positions.
She said all female.
It's a team.
All female.
It's a team that was dominated by women, particularly women taking the lead for the most.
What is the point?
No.
Most and all.
Leaders. That's what I was talking about. The point about women.
I can name judge. There was a judge, gentleman, the press secretary.
Just wait. But the point that Rufai was making may be misconstrued. The comment may be taken as being, off color, to say that those ladies working for Trump, they look like hard-nosed men.
No, they don't.
So that will look like body shaming.
They don't.
It will sound incorrect. The whole point is that, look, they also put up a good performance. It's not easy working with President Trump. And we saw, you know, Sarah Sanders. We saw Grisham. There's a lady called Grisham, Hope Hicks, you know, Alisa, who is the current Director of Communications. I think they did an excellent job, and it will not be fair to dismiss them.
Okay,
I've not finished. The people who will now work for, you know, President Trump, President Biden, when they come into office, they will also have their own opportunity. As I said earlier, their job will be political public relations, you know, interfacing between the White House and the media and trying to spin the news, because their job, they are spin doctors. Many people do not realize that, you know, and it's not an easy job to spin the news. So we can only wish them.
It's really all about inclusivity and diversity. That's really
lie.
So Dr. Abati, great point you made. I will take that back. And you know why I'll say I'll take that back?
Yes,
was because the woman before McEnany had an incident actually where she was body shamed or something.
She wasn't body shamed. The woman, the comedian said her smoked black eyeliner is from the lies of, like, burning the lies, and she uses that to line her eyes.
Let's not rub it. Let's not rub it in. But
right.
You know, if it is said that way, but I'll also make the argument that if the likes of them, Sean Spicer, didn't screw up, I'm not sure those women will get the chance, really. But it's not to go all that way.
You are worsening the matter.
Okay,
we just leave this subject.
Move on. Let's
I'm going to respect them.
You don't know that.
Leave this subject.
Yeah, you don't
They
know
did a
that.
good job.
Shall we take our
Just
final
leave the
story real
subject.
quick?
Yeah.
Well, the Nigerian government has retrieved a terracotta head believed to be at least 600 years old that was stolen from Osun State in southwestern Nigeria. Reports indicate that the ancient artwork was smuggled from Ghana airport to the Netherlands before it was finally intercepted in Amsterdam. Upon interception, Dutch officials contacted the Nigerian embassy, leading to the return of the priceless and timeless artifact. The Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, said the smuggler had obtained forged documents to take it out of the country. The artifact was presented to the Nigerian government in Abuja. Well, I mean, this is a brightening news for me. I'm glad that they did intercept that situation at this point, and I hope that it, you know, remains in our custody. But this raises that conversation that, you know, hundreds of our artifacts are still in museums in Europe and the United States, and the federal government must continue to insist on their return back home.
Yes, we need to enforce Article 4 of the UNESCO 1970 Convention. Our cultural heritage belongs to us.
Yes.
But I have to say that the artifacts were not just looted during the colonial era. That would be convenient to claim. The scary thing is now that this beautiful, priceless piece of art is back, we have to make sure it doesn't go walkies again. Because you'll recall one of our most prized bronzes that went missing in 1987 has never been found, and it was stolen from a Nigerian museum. So we do need to really invest in securing our precious artwork. I mean, that's beautiful.
Well, let's commend the government of the Netherlands for returning these artifacts. I mean, it was taken from someone who was traveling with it at the airport, and they double-checked it, and they traced it back to Nigeria, and the Dutch authorities eventually returned it. And that's consistent with the global move that stolen artifacts should be returned.
Yes.
And in Nigeria, thousands of artifacts from Ile-Ife, from Benin, during the 1897
era,
you know, expedition in Benin. And in Benin, it's in Benin that we have the most organized group, the Benin Study Group, that wants these artifacts returned. But do we have the structure, the mechanism, the capacity to preserve and keep these artifacts that have been returned?
We must insist.
Anyway, thank you,
Thank you,
Oji.
guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Have
you.
a great day.